Hey, I'm coming to you today regarding our recently released feature, Percent Velocity. This conference season is ramping up and we're already getting tons of feedback and interest regarding this feature. The positive feedback coming from those of you who's already implemented it, and the extreme interest coming from those who did not know that this was recently released. So I want to take some time to dive into that feature specifically, how it functions, and a few common ways we're seeing it used already. So let's go ahead and start there. I'll go into this. I already started the program just to save us a bit of time on development. You all know how to create programs. I'm going to go in this specific phase. And right now I have day 1 and day 2. So I'm going to talk right here about a common setup and then how that common setup relates to essentially an automated process of giving prescriptive conditioning for the rest of that phase program, so on and so forth. So in setup, day 1, I have a conditioning assessment. Some sort of assessment, totally up to you. In this case, it's the 1 mile assessment. So in order for us to leverage this assessment for percent velocity, we need 2 things. We need a time, which I have as a required set here. Because it's for time, I adjusted it to min. And then the distance that I put at 1 mile, because that's what this is, 1 mile assessment. But you need these 2 parameters, not just the 1 mile in the name. We need the 2 parameters so the system can use these exact measurements to calculate an average velocity. So let's say we're doing this 1 mile assessment. Oftentimes, unfortunately, we'll have people with limitations. So I'm going to put a 6-minute fan bike assessment here as well, so that we can go either off the 1 mile run or the fan bike. So the same setup, going to put this as a required set right here. This is going to be a 6-minute test, so I can kind of get a similar average. And then this one's going to be for max distance, how far you can get within that 6 minutes. So I've got our initial assessment day set up. Let's go to what we'll say is going to be our first working day, or as it says here, our first interval day. So key feature or key strategy is I would name your intervals exactly as you tend them to be executed. So I wouldn't just stick with one exercise being fan bike and do an assessment there and then program off of that. As a matter of fact, and I didn't mention this earlier, having a 1 mile assessment, having a 6-minute fan bike, being very specific about the assessment here is best practice for 2 reasons. 1, you can relate it to the intervals that we're going to talk about. 2, this makes this exact assessment easy to track and visualize over time to see how someone is progressing, regressing, trending, whatever you want to call it, again, longitudinally. So, wanted to make note of that. Going back to the intervals here. So we can get in here and start programming percent velocity. Because I know I have an alternative exercise for the assessment, I want to have an alternative exercise here, and that's going to be the fan bike. Fan bike intervals, perfect. I'm going to implement that. I can't use the same prescription because this is going to be based on a mile. This is going to be based on the fan bike, so I'm going to go there. All right, so let's dive into these, or the percent velocity. You're going to see it over here to the right, its own unique kind of area of this section, because when you use this, you can only use this. You can't use any of the others. Again, because there's an automated calculation, math process that goes on here. So I'm going to calculate percent velocity for distance. Yes, I understand all of this. Good, now it's set up. I am going to now adjust this, so percent velocity, miles per hour. I'm going to put a range. I'm going to give it plus or minus 5%. Just because typically when programming something this precise, it's good to give a little wiggle room left and right. And also the research suggests, based on this protocol that I'm going to show you, within a 10% window, same affected. So here, I'm going to go ahead and put 105%. This is kind of a max power or a VVO2 protocol. Distance, let's go ahead and put meters and do 400. Okay, so we have that set up. The exercise that's up here is the exercise that it's linked to. Now, because I told you it's best to have a different exercise specific to the assessment, so a 1 mile assessment in this case, we are going to want to adjust this. So I'm going to click on this, choose another exercise, type in that 1 mile assessment, perfect. You can pick the test itself, or you can pick all tests most recent. I'm going to pick all tests most recent. Save. Boom. So now we see that this is different than this and exactly how we want it set up. We can go into view results, see if we have anybody within our team who actually has results here, and currently we do. These individuals at the top have performed a test here, and we can see their average velocity for that 1 mile time. All right, perfect. So now that we have that, we can go in to see how this is looking. In this scenario where we have the distance, we're going to calculate the time. We're going to go over here to estimate velocity and select the team, because this is currently not assigned to a team. We're just building it. Once it's assigned, you won't have to do this step. But in this instance, we're going to do the show and tell team. We'll go ahead and select all to see what's available. And now we can see, at least for those individuals who had test results here, we have the estimated velocity, so that 105% of their average 1 mile assessment speed. We have plus or minus 5% there. And then we have the estimated times, how long it should take them to run these 400 meters at this specific intensity. You do have the opportunity to edit that if needed here. You also have the opportunity to enter in one if you don't have one here. But for now, let's just focus on the standard practice of an assessment in the beginning that has distance and time, and then doing it this way. Okay, perfect. Go ahead and get out of here. Actually, I guess I'll go back into this. So we have this. We can add a rest. Let's see. I'm just going to put a minute 30 for an example. Now this is set up. Because typically when we do intervals, we have a rest period after each interval. You're not going to see the option of having reps here. In this percent velocity or these conditioning protocols, just based on the feedback that we receive in common practice, each set is going to essentially be a rep. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here. We'll put six sets or 6 reps, however you want to look at it here. So that's good. We can come down to the bike as well. And essentially, if we just had this, it would just be the exact same up here. But 400 meters is not common on the bike. So we can go ahead and adjust that and go through the same protocol. I'm going to take some time to do that right now. I'll do it the opposite way for this one. We'll do it for time. We'll do the same thing, 105, because we want the same intensity. That's the whole intent. We'll do, 1 minute on. We'll add a rest. 1 minute off. We can review results here again. And see, the reason there's no results right now is because I did not do the one step that we need to do every time we do this. If we deploy the strategy that I mentioned, is right now we have fan bike intervals and fan bike intervals. We need to change that exercise to the 6-minute fan bike assessment. Again, I'm going to use most recent. Get that set up. Fan bike assessment, fan bike intervals, perfect. Go back to the team that I plan to assign this to, review the data, perfect. Now we have the speeds here. That's great. All right, now we can do the exact same thing. Actually, I'm gonna go back. This is distance in yards, not common. I'm gonna do distance in miles. That's more common for the fan bike. Estimate velocity, we'll do the last team again, the one we're going to assign it to. We'll do everybody just for good measure. Those people did not have a speeds. Again, you could enter one in if you wanted to from here. But we can go down here and see the exact same thing. 105% is the prescription, plus or minus 5%, giving us this nice range. Also the nice range and distance of how far we should get within that 1 minute interval. So again, individualized or relative intensity, or however you want to say it, exercise prescriptions, similar to how you can do with weights. All right, let's go ahead and close out of this. See it here, we got the exercise switch. All right, that is great, that's perfect. Now, in this video, and I didn't start with this, but in this video, there's really gonna be three things that I talk about. We're talked about percent velocity. That's the main focus. The two other things are going to be, well, another one of the three is going to be these required sets. Now, it's not a default setting, but you do have the option available to you where you can have these required sets. It will be every required set that you program for weights or for conditioning, and it will be the exact same setup for everyone within your account. But you can ask or have your required sets automatically converted to test sets. That means you don't have to go in and manually enter anything. You don't have to go to your activity report and accept a performance. It will be automated. Once a person completes this, after that 24-hour period to let all the data sync and update everything, the next day, you will have a newly assigned test set performance that the future intervals will be based off of. So again, that automated solution for those specific or relative intensities for conditioning, and in this case would be also for lifting. Anyway, ideal setup, totally recommend that. If that's not already turned on for your account, reach out to your customer success manager and we'll get that set up for you. All right, so the other thing is you can also program, we won't dive into this much, but I will show you an article where you can learn more about it. You can program by percent heart rate max as well. Now, this percent velocity feature comes with all platinum packages, but can also be added on to another package should you desire. Again, reach out to your CSM, can get you set up there. But the percent heart rate max is already available and available to everybody. I'm just going to go ahead and add another day here. Add a block. Nothing too fancy, just percent heart rate max. Enter. Oh, I'm just going to stay pretty vague here because just showing the functionality of it. We will go to heart rate, one of your regular parameters. We could do time because we're on a curve. That all sounds good. We can put, we'll say 4 minutes. Then you click this drop down and select, instead of just BPM, which is an absolute that you would type in, this is the one that's going to be calculated. Put it there. Actually, I'll do a range. Do a range, and we're going to go 85 to 90%. Now, you can see here, if you haven't already entered in an absolute, like an actual heart rate max that you did through some sort of graded exercise test or field test, the system will do the traditional 220 minus your age, and then you guys, or your athletes, clients, service members, will have those programmed out, individualized to their estimated heart rate max. Again, you can enter in an actual heart rate max and the same calculations happen. But I wanted to show you that here, even though it's not the focus of the video. I wanted to show it here because conditioning is the focus. All right, so that's how it's most commonly being used right now. I do want to say and show you there's a few other ways that you can do tests that you can then base intervals off of that are manual. This was the automated version, again, less work, so that's why it's probably the most common. But let's dive into how you can do this in a bit of a more manual fashion, and how you can not only use a scenario that I showed you with a distance and a time, but you can do a max velocity. So maybe you're pulling your max velocity, max aerobic speed from your GPS. Maybe you're doing a graded exercise test. Whichever one you're doing, if you have a specific velocity that you pull from those results, we can enter that in and do the exact same thing. And so I'm going to go into, I went to my team page. I'm going to go to leaderboards and test results. And I have the results of the examples I just showed you, the 1 mile assessment, the 6-minute fan bike, everything outlined there. And I also have this additional one for the graded exercise test. So I am going to show you how this works. And this again will relate to a graded exercise test, relate to some sort of field test. Like I could do this with the beep test, yo-yo test. Yeah, there's a lot of different tests you can do it with. But anyway, you'll get the idea where it's a single velocity. So let's go ahead and enter that in. Enter test results, select an exercise. I'm going to select that graded exercise test again. Maybe I won't. Let's see. Treadmill GX. There it is. Perfect. Right there. Now, this one, I'm going to show you how I did this, just so you can understand that. Add new test. Testing for. Now, in this case, because we're going to enter one speed that we got somewhere else, we're going to select velocity. And we could do meters per second because that's pretty common. Don't need anything else. We will do, on a treadmill, it's going to be miles per hour. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to put VVO2 treadmill. I'll select, I don't know, some random person just to show you. So now here you put in, for this example, and the one that's in my head for this is the fastest speed that this person could sustain for 1 minute during this specific graded exercise test protocol. So we'll say that's going to be 9.9 miles per hour. That was done the same day as everyone else on 4/28. We're going to hit save. We're going to go back to that team page so we can see the results. And you can see that 9.9 miles per hour. Now, I could go back into the builder. So I'll just pick this same program. I'll duplicate this just for ease because a lot of cool stuff with this one and can go on for a while. We'll go here. Just choose another exercise, graded exercise test. VVO2, that's the one we just did. Or we'll do all. We'll just save the most recent because that one's going to be most recent. Good. There's velocity, show and tell. We'll go to that specific athlete. Actually, we can just click them all. We'll just click them all. Go in and see here. Now we'll look for that specific athlete. We can see right here, it has theirs. Perfect. So a few different ways that you can do this, a few different strategies. In addition, we have a lot of great resources on our help and resource that you can find up here. For example, I just typed in %velo for the percent velocity stuff and can see all these different articles. First article shows you exactly how to do this, everything I just showed you here. you can reference this article and probably do it a lot faster than watching this video all the way through again. There's also some strategies, some ways that people use this specific pacing, whether it's based on VO2 pace, which is kind of what I showed you today, a version of it, lactate threshold pace, marathon pace, so on and so forth, common strategies, then ones that are pretty specific to support that probably, or to sport that kind of relate to the maximal aerobic speed from a GPS. A lot of field tests too, the 6-minute fan bike. Those can be outlined here and shown how this is done and a few examples of prescriptions, as well as using this resource center for more information on percent heart rate max, how to do that, and then how you can update that in 2 different ways. So again, our hottest feature of the moment is the conditioning, specifically the percent velocity, but also getting some buzz around the percent heart rate max. It's just they weren't well known. Now we're making them well known. Additionally, one more reminder, required sets. If you want those to be automated, automatically update the test results so you can have that full automated experience. Again, reach out to your customer success manager. We'll get that set up for you. All right, look forward to hearing some of your feedback once you implement these features.